Hello again. I'm Janelle Nanos, for those of you who haven't gotten a chance to see me talk already today. This is a panel that I'm excited about, in part because I've watched each of these women grow their businesses over the last few years in awe, basically, honestly. And I've been cheering and rooting for them, and so this is a great opportunity to just hear a little bit about that growth. And I think it was one of you, I forget which one of you, who actually inspired the title for this panel, which is My Other Child. The idea that you're simultaneously trying to grow a business, raise a family, and how do you manage those two things? And so I know we probably have a lot of questions from the audience. I want to make sure I get to those. But first I want to, set the scene a little bit. Can you tell me, maybe go down the row, if you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your business. Tracy, why don't you start?
Hi, everybody. I am Tracy Skelly, the founder and CEO of the Little Cocoa Bean Company. We are a wellness brand. We create healthy food for kids. We try to source ingredients from around the globe to diversify what kids are eating and also to represent the variety of places that our little ones come from. We open cafe spaces where parents can actually try our foods or bring their kids to try our foods in a kind of child-friendly environment. So we started with our first cafe in Jamaica Plain, and that was our baby. And now we are growing, and this spring we will be opening a second location in Boston Children's Museum.
Woohoo! Hell yeah. I am Nikki Bandera. I'm the thanks. I got a lot of friends here, guys. I'm the founder of Project Polly and Fulfill This. We're a clothing brand. We raise funds and awareness for charitable organizations that feed people in different ways. So we have a shop in the North End, we sell online, and we do lots of national partnerships to raise awareness for different organizations.
Woo!
Hi, everybody. My name's Elaine Chow. I'm the founder of Chop Value Boston. We recycle used chopsticks from restaurants around town, and we use those to make sustainable furniture, wall paneling, gifts, all kinds of stuff. And we do it all in Charlestown, so it's super local.
So cool.
Well, thank you all. Now, I say this, I said it at the top for those of you just joining us, but I've watched you all grow your businesses over the last few years, and in so doing, you've all had to make a leap. You've all had to make a big choice to really kind of pivot, take on something totally new, and really kind of jump into entrepreneurship feet first. Talk with me a little bit about your headspace. Where were you when you sort of knew you needed to make the leap? Elaine, do you want to start?
Sure. I mean, so this was in my house, we call it my COVID midlife crisis. So yeah, as I was thinking about making a change, I was also leading, this is a huge pivot from nonprofit management for me. And I was in HR leadership and, middle of COVID, leading people through some really tough stuff. And I had been in the nonprofit sector for about 20 years. And I just felt like I just kind of honestly hit a wall. So I still passionately support those causes and what people are doing in that space. It just wasn't for me to continue in that way. And every time I thought about, well, could I pivot and do something like this? Could I do something like this? It was always something that got me energized that was just had to be a complete 180, totally different in a different space. So I knew I wanted to try something besides nonprofit. I was not ready to kind of go full corporate, so I was looking at other options. I knew I wanted to do something with sustainability. My kids were fairly young at the time. I wanted to do something that they could touch and feel and understand and be a part of as well. And so after many conversations, not all of them easy, with my husband, we decided to kind of do this as a family, and it really has to be a joint decision if you're in that type of a situation, because it just is so all-consuming and affects things everywhere.
Nikki, why don't you were just talking, so it's 5-year anniversary just this week.
Yeah, it was our 5-year anniversary of Project Polly this week. Guys, it really is my other child. So during the pandemic, pretty soon in, we wanted to feed 20 families. I had been in liquor marketing. I was launching tequila brands, which was pretty fun, but a different thing. But everything was closing, and my life was changing. It was super scary. I needed to focus on something, anything other than that, I guess. We wanted to feed 20 families, and we ended up feeding about 3,500, all with this little tomato that I had drawn on all of the bags, delivering them to families that needed us. And throughout that process, and also I should say throughout my life, like as a creative, there had been so many times where I had these ideas, right? Or I wanted to take a jump, but as a woman and you have insurance and a child and all of this stuff, like I was the breadwinner at the time. And my husband would even say, like, just do it. And I wouldn't. And it really, for me, took COVID and kind of everything ending for me to lean into that, right? And so we were feeding families, and I had met amazing people who had founded amazing organizations that were really doing the work, and I wanted to support them. I felt like everyone felt the same way as me. They wanted to be connected to their community that they live within. They wanted to feel something. And so we put the tomatoes on hats. Each different color represents a different charitable organization, most of them local to Boston. Started opening stores and all of the stuff. And it was definitely like on accident. And, I was not a person that was having those conversations that I should have had with my husband. We did not know what was going to happen. But here we are. And it's definitely been a story of like following your instinct and like just saying yes when it feels right for us. And, kind of the rest will work itself out.
Yeah, and I would say in terms of headspace, I sort of, right after having my daughter, I think there were some things that became clearer to me. Like everybody talks about the post-pregnancy like fog, and that definitely is a thing. But there's also this like spiritual clarity. There's this like moment where you start to realize like what actually matters. And I have so many girlfriends, family members that have babies, and all of a sudden they're dissatisfied with their jobs.
Yeah.
And it's not an accident. It's really more about like priorities. You have this life that you've created that depends on you, that fills you in this way you didn't even know was possible, and then you go to work. Mm-hmm. And then you're not appreciated, you're not seen, you're given this time to this organization that doesn't love you, won't be standing by your casket, won't, remember you in the same way. And so I was in that space when Little Cocoa Bean Co. was born. I understood that my family was most important, my community was really important, and I had already been working on food and in my community and exposing my daughter to our culture through food. And so I think things just sort of came together, and I wanted what I wanted. And I realized like my corporate career was great at paying the bills, but it wasn't going to remember me, and it wasn't going to create legacy for my family. And so that was the space that I was in.
Yeah. Same, I feel that.
I think part of the jump that you made is also sort of teaching yourself how to run a business. I mean, none of you were necessarily in full entrepreneurship mode before you started.
No.
Tell me about the learning process. Who did you turn to? What resources did you find? Who was your coach? What were the things that helped you get to the place where not only did you feel like you could maybe do this, but that you knew you had the capacity to actually make it happen?
I mean, I would say that everybody has something in there that's going to be really helpful. So it's about kind of sorting out what are the talents and gifts that you bring to the table, and where do you need some support? So I went to business school a long time ago, and at that time I had nonprofit management on my mind. So I was learning everything in the context of that. And then I worked in operations for a long time, and there are transferable things from operations to manufacturing for sure. But I'm a franchise. I didn't know anything about franchising. So when I reached out to SCORE, which is part of the small business support now, where you get a free mentor, and they said, what do you want your mentor to know about? I said, get me somebody who knows about franchising. And then I bought some books and read up about it. I have a mentor team through MIT mentoring service, and I had a classmate of mine from school say that she treats her team like her board, her personal board, and that has been so helpful. So I have these people that I can go to that aren't just going to tell me what I want to hear. It's not my husband, because even though he is a very smart business person, I just can't talk to him about this.
Sometimes it's a little bit hard to
cannot take that
communicate,
advice. So you got to find the people who are going to be able to speak truth even when it's not pretty, and push you in ways that you don't necessarily want to be pushed.
I think for me, at least in my experience, a lot of the reasons why I hadn't started things previously was because you think that you like don't know how to do all of the things. Like when you envision it, you always envision the end, right? And starting this has put so much emphasis on it being kind of like a cinch by the inch, and it's like hard by the yard, right? And so like little by little, and like learning, teaching yourself, finding these communities, right, of people that are doing the same thing as you. And that's been an amazing part of this. Like being exposed to amazing business women and being able to ask them questions and things like that. But I definitely had no idea, you know, and you need to lean on that community, especially of like women, mom, business owners. Like that's what saved me. That's what's given me the confidence to be sitting up here or to be like continuing our business and doing these great brand deals and all of this stuff. It's because of my chick friends that are doing the same thing as me. You know, in the same way you need that with motherhood, like mother friends, like it's the same exact thing. So that's definitely what's gotten me here. Yeah.
And to be clear, no one knows what they're doing.
Nobody. None.
If you think you're alone,
really
you
scary.
are not.
It's actually really scary,
no one knows what they're doing. And so I think for me, I reached out through my network. I reached out to strangers who offered to help and support. I think I'm learning how to flex a muscle that is pretty weak, which is like actually taking people up on the offer to help. Maybe that's a woman thing, a mom thing, who knows thing, but people offer help, and I haven't been good in the past at accepting it. Once I became an entrepreneur, it was like it sort of forced me to accept the help. And so I have taken advice from anybody who's willing to offer it. You don't have to implement everything, but I think there are nuggets in every conversation that can be helpful. I reach out to people online. If they don't reach back, you didn't lose anything. But the majority of women who are like you, working moms, will likely answer your
They've
message.
been there. They've been in the exact same spot.
100%, and want to pass along the knowledge. I read, I listen to podcasts, try to be like a learner, like continuing to learn, and you're gonna get a ton of things wrong. You know, you hope people don't see all the things behind the curtain, but inevitably,
Nobody knows. It's like you keep on dancing.
but it's all
You know what
messy
I
back
mean?
there, and you just put one foot in front of the other. Yeah.
One of the
Let's say two tactical things on this. So,
please.
like, I think Boston is really, really resource rich with networks and communities that specifically want to support you and what you're doing. So for me, there's been an amazing kind of amount of support from people that are interested in sustainability, or women entrepreneurs, or women of color entrepreneurs that has an event later tonight. There's like the Asian business community has been amazing. So whatever you have, however you identify, there's probably a group that will really support what you're doing and put resources to support that. And then the other thing is, whenever there's something I don't know how to do, there's kind of a quick thought process of like, is this something that I should sit down and learn how to do? Is this actually not a great use of my time? Is there somebody else to teach me how to do that or walk me through that? Or is there somebody else that can just do it and then I can just take it off of my list? And so, and somewhere in all of those networks, there's somebody who's the right fit for that thing. So is this the highest and best use of my time right now?
One of the major challenges that women often face when they're trying to start businesses is finding financing, tapping into people who are willing to help. It's just, the numbers are just, when you look at them, they're just always skewed. Sometimes it's just hard for people to understand that a business that matters to a woman actually matters. Talk to me a little bit about how you went about fundraising, how you've tapped into, find the financial support you need to get your business going and to help it grow.
We're all still trying to figure it out. There's a lot of people in this room that have been really helpful all day.
I can jump in because there was a very specific price tag for me as a franchise, right? So I was looking at buying a franchise. there was a very clear price tag of like, this is what you need to pay for the rights to the franchise. This is what you need to pay to buy all your equipment. This is how many people you would need to run the microfactory. So there was a very clear number. And then I could go out and figure out, okay, what are my most likely places to find this money? I'll pause here to say, like, obviously not all businesses require a huge kind of capital infusion up front to get started. So that should be one thing that you're thinking about is like, you know, how much does my business require to run? And then, you know, we're kind of 2.5 years into production, and I'm like, this is a really expensive operation to run. Like, couldn't I have just like started doing Etsy out of my house? Like, I you know, that would have been
every
a lot
day.
easier.
Every day I'm saying
Yeah.
this. Every day. Just
so
kidding, guys.
so just think about like that run rate that just keeps coming like the tide. And then there are just like you'll again tapping into your networks and getting advice about where the money is. Like for me, it was obviously there's a sustainability angle, and I found out that the Department of Environmental Protection in Massachusetts has this really amazing thing called the Recycling Loan Fund. So I got half of my funding from that fund fixed at a really low rate because it was very specifically related to what I wanted to do. There's one of my investors is called Boston Impact Initiative, and so they're a nonprofit in town that are investing in businesses that are having impact in some way in the community. So there are things that you can find, because as a franchisee, I was not a good candidate for traditional like VC funding or things like that. They don't want to fund the franchisee.
Yeah,
they want to
we
fund the
weren't either.
franchisor.
We
You
weren't
know,
either.
like yeah.
We weren't either. And, you know, when we first started, because it was like, what even is this? We were completely undesirable. I mean, we had a bank who, I'll tell you after this who they were. Not these guys. It wasn't PNC. But they had come to us and they said, oh my gosh, we love what you're doing. We want to support you. We want to put you in our ads. Like we were literally in Cambridge, like my face on the ads. And I was like, all right, sick guys, like I'm going to need some money. And the process was so crazy. And because that the type of business we had, and we didn't know what it was going to become and all of this stuff, I think that especially as a woman, and that's certainly not my business, it's been so scary. And you need to lean on like the people in this room and this beautiful event, like that it's unintimidating, like kind of removing the stigma around that, and also like getting control of your confidence and being like, I'm here, I deserve to be here, this is what I need, this business deserves to be here. And it took a long time for me to get there. I was afraid of money, and you know, still I'm like getting over it. But it's definitely, you know, it's been a journey. It's a forever journey. And you know, I know for my business, like it's kind of forever been evolving as well. So those needs are forever evolving. So yeah, it's forever a journey.
So I started my business bootstrapping. So
Yeah, us too.
for those of you familiar, it's basically you taking your own money and putting it into the business. And so that was an interesting conversation with my husband, because it was like our savings and what we had saved for our children going into this like project that you sort of just hope and pray works out. And things were really tight in those first years when we were getting going, just because food is a really expensive model. Opening up a brick and mortar location in a city like Boston is very expensive. So we bootstrapped. I also ran a crowdfunding campaign in 2019, and our community supported. And so I was able to actually afford the construction and the opening of that location in JP. And for the next few years, just poured everything we made back into the business. So paying my employees, financing all the things we needed to finance, and I didn't pay myself. And that was sort of just like the sacrifice. And as the business continued to grow, we got access to additional funding through various sources, grants that came our way, opportunities to pop up in certain places, which helped to infuse the business with cash, larger contracts. But really my approach was like, just do what you do really well.
Yeah.
Be authentic about it. Be a good human in this world, take care of people, and the rest will figure itself out. And it has. There was no particular formula that I could write down other than it was slow. There were things I had to ignore because I couldn't afford to pay close attention to them. But the thing I never ignored was taking care of people and doing like the core of our business really, really well. And so far, so good.
And you do. When you start working on the road or walking on the road appears, right?
Yeah.
And you did it.
To that point, I mean, when you talk about things that you might have to ignore, I mean, there are children in this picture, right? You're balancing, we're here because we're mothers, right? Talk with me a little bit about the idea of having the title here, the other child, right?
Yeah.
This has become your whole life, you're running a company. How do you manage? I mean, that is the ultimate question we're all trying to answer here, but when you're in a place where you're trying to start a business, you're all managing physical space, so it's not just an Etsy thing.
Yeah.
You know, talk with me a little bit about how you also make sure that you're present for your kids.
Yeah, I'm like, moms just like, we do the thing, and that's why it's so hard to talk about it, because like we just tend to figure things out. And so for me, I show up to what I can. I try to schedule around. When you're an entrepreneur, you work more, but you have more flexibility in your schedule. Totally. So like if I need to be like, I can't be there because my baby has a thing at the Arboretum, then that's my prerogative. It's like the thing I want to pour into. It's the family, but also just like your kids seeing you create something is really powerful. And when they're little, they don't always get like the nuances. But my oldest is 6, and they really start to get it, and they really start to understand that you're not just operating a business, like you're part of a community, and like the work that you're doing is contributing to the community. And so like that's how we talk about the business now. And so if I can't make something, or dad's got to pick you up because I'm downtown, or they sort of get it.
I think that there's no work-life balance when you're a business owner, and I think that that's an okay thing. Yeah. Kind of like bouncing off what you said, like it is so my business, like it truly is my other child. Like there is no separation, and it's such a blessing that I'm able to be there, and I've been able to be there for everything. But she is so much a part of my business, Mm-hmm. And the coolest thing, and even what you were talking about like, oh, I want to see like them watching me, like follow my, all of this stuff, like they're not going to know anything different. And for me, that was the biggest thing, was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to push it to the limit, because I don't ever want to sit there and regret not doing it, because I was afraid, because I want my daughter to know that she can do whatever the hell she wants in this life. And for it not to be like, oh, I saw that person or whatever. Like, I don't want it to be a question. You just do what you want, And also that this or anything else that you want can fit into your life, because we're going to make it fit, because we're women, and we're going to do that, and we're going to prioritize our families. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard. You can't be in 2 places at once, and that's the fact. And I don't remember who said it, if it was Andrea earlier. Like, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys. It happens, even up here. But what she had said was, you need a partner. And whether that be like your friend, your, husband, wife, whatever, genuinely, the only reason that I'm sitting up here, that Project Polly exists, or anything else that I'm doing, is because of Bill. Because he sees me, he knows me, and he has been my partner throughout all of this. And like, it doesn't matter that I'm sitting here, because he's going to adjust to that in the same way that I do to him. Yeah. And that's, that's, here we are. We're trying our best. We're all just trying our best here.
Check to everything you all have said, especially the flexibility. I have I have a way better lifestyle now as an entrepreneur than I did as an executive. And, that was when I was literally like, if you're leading HR for 1,000 people across the country, you cannot turn off your phone at night. Like, something can happen and you have to be there. And here I can walk away from the microfactory. We're just, we're making furniture. It's not a huge crisis. Yeah, like it's, that kind of thing. So that was actually a lifestyle choice for me to make. It's part of the decision to switch. But I think the kids have really loved being involved. Yeah. So, like, I grew up in a house that used chopsticks every day. We don't do that here in my house, but like, now they're interested in using chopsticks. Or when I was recruiting restaurants to be recycling partners, I would take my daughter with me. And then, now they're passing Asian restaurants and saying, Mommy, let's go get chopsticks from there. And, they love coming to the microfactory. They love helping to make stuff. I had to put keychains together for a big order recently, Alyssa, it wasn't yours, but like, we were driving to school and I said, hey guys, like just like here's this box. I thought you guys would really love putting these, wires.
It's a game. It's a really cool
They
game.
were so into it, they were like really, really into it. So it is about like, what do you want to, if I'm going to be spending a lot of time doing something else, I want you to really understand what it is I'm doing and why I'm doing it and feel proud of that. And so if we're going to be real in here,
I think we
so Top Value Boston has been in production for 2.5 years. We are not yet profitable. I have not taken a salary in 3 years. And last summer, my husband and I had a really tough conversation around, are we going to continue to float the company when you can't pay your bills? And we decided last summer we're not going to do that anymore. So there was a moment where I was just like, okay, I might not be open by the end of the year because if we're not putting in any more money, like then that means the business has to just like be on its own. And we're still here, which is great. I know. But there is this question of like, is this actually ever really going to work? And there have been a lot of positive signs, and we're definitely moving in the right direction. But there is a real tug between, are we going to continue to invest money, right? And the opportunity cost of me not having a salary that could be supporting our family, and a potential inheritance for our kids, like that we want to build savings for them. And so there are all these trade-offs that are really, really hard, and they are constant moments of doubt. I think yes, daily moments of doubt in terms of like, do I know how to do this? But for me, there's like this big like, is this going to work? Kind of.
And the financial stuff is hard, like making those decisions. And we've done the same, where we're taking money and we're putting it into it, and you just kind of continue to remind yourself, I guess, or I do, that like it is the right track, and it is, because we are so hard on ourselves, like, and you're constantly like, is this gonna work? Is this not gonna work? Is anyone gonna like me? That's right. All of this stuff, but like with your business, right? It's scary. And also the entire climate right now in this country is scary. None of us know what's gonna happen. So I think you're doing a great thing. You're just we gotta keep going, right?
Well, and that's why we're all here, right? Yeah. We're supporting each other, we're finding our community, and we're sharing our vulnerabilities and our stories, and that's really why this is such an important day. This is the first time we've done this. Who wants to come back?
Oh my God.
Woo! Amazing. Thank you so much, panelists. You've been incredible. There is going to be a cocktail. We're doing cocktails? Oh yeah, we're doing cocktails. We've got a whole networking hour. So who needs a cocktail? I did 3 of these panels.
We've been waiting so patiently.
So please join us. There will be tables from some of our sponsors here and some of our speakers. If you have feedback, please find one of us from the Globe. Let us know what you think. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for coming.
Round of applause for everyone.